Have you ever bought something that you're really excited about only to bring it home and instantly feel shame or regret? I used to feel exactly the same way, but earlier this year I spent $7,000 on a new bed. Most people would call this a huge waste of money, but I don't regret it. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to spend lots of money on big ticket items with no shame or regret. Hi, I'm Katherine, founder of Imperfect Budget, and I help women understand the psychology behind their financial decisions so they can stop feeling anxious and overwhelmed with money and start managing their finances with confidence. The first reason you may be feeling guilty over big purchases is because you don't actually have the money to spend. Before making any big purchases, you need to be in a good financial position to make those purchases. That's why having a strong financial foundation is so important. But it can feel completely overwhelming at first when you don't even know where to start. That's why I created my 3 steps guide that will walk you through exactly how to start building your own financial systems. If you're interested, grab the link in the description below. Did you know that 59% of Americans say that they don't have the savings to cover a $1,000 emergency? This means that if they have an unexpected car repair, job loss, or a visit to the emergency room, they're resorting to borrowing money, putting it on a credit card, or pulling it out of their retirement accounts. None of which are good options. That's why the first thing that you need to do before making any big purchases is build an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a lump sum of money that you have sitting in an easy to access savings account that you can dip into when an emergency happens. To build your own emergency fund, you're going to start by adding up all of your essential monthly expenses. Basically, anything that you would face serious hardship if left unpaid. After you've added up all of your expenses for 1 month, you're going to multiply it by 3, by 6, or by 12. 3 is the minimum amount that you should have in your emergency fund. It's enough to cover some costs, but it's not enough for the long term. 6 is a great place to land. It will give you a nice, comfortable cushion and provide you with a solid safety net. 12 is pretty much the maximum of what you would need in an emergency fund. This is generally only recommended for people that have variable income or during times of economic downturn. Now, if you've totaled up your monthly expenses, found out your emergency number, and gone, how much? Don't panic. It's okay if it takes you a few years to build your emergency fund. It's also okay if you have to use it along the way. Just the fact that you are working towards building that safety cushion is a huge step. And you're going to feel so much more secure knowing that you have some money set aside for emergencies, even if it's not quite as much as you want yet. The second financial foundation that you need before making any big purchases is to have a payoff plan for any high interest debt. For most people, this is credit card debt. If you feel guilty for buying something big when you have credit card debt, well, that kind of makes sense. When you have high interest debt, your money essentially doesn't belong to you. You receive your paycheck and it immediately goes to pay your lenders. So you can't really buy anything guilt-free until your money actually belongs to you. You may have a lot of debt, and it may take a long time to pay off. That's okay. I'm not going to tell you that you can't buy anything until you've paid off all of your debt, because that could take a long time. But before making any big purchases, you must have a payoff plan for how and when you're going to pay off that debt. And you cannot take on any new debt to pay for big purchases. The last financial foundation you need in place before making any big purchases is to be making contributions to retirement accounts. Unfortunately, there are millions of Americans out there that will be working until they die because they can't afford to retire. Building a sizable portfolio that's large enough to live off of in retirement takes a long time, but it's easier if you start sooner. So before making any big purchases, please make sure you're contributing something to your retirement account so that your future self can live comfortably in her old age. Once you have all of your financial foundations in place, you have earned the right to make big purchases without sabotaging your finances. Great job. The next step is to save the money. Now, you probably just rolled your eyes at me like, duh. But here's the truth. Most people don't save money for big purchases. That's why so many buy now, pay later plans exist. We live in a capitalist society that wants you to spend. That's why it lets you buy appliances and cell phones and even mattresses on installment plans. But the reality is, if you can't buy something in one payment, you probably shouldn't be buying it. We tend to buy first, pay later, when really it should be save first, buy later. So if you want something like a new computer, a new couch, a washing machine, save the money first, then buy it. While you're working on saving, you can shop around, check out your different options, choose exactly what you want to buy so that once you've saved up the money, you can spend it. No regrets. Lastly, we have the final piece of the puzzle. You could have all of your financial foundations in place, save the money, and still feel guilty about it. Why? That's because money is more than just math. It's also psychology. For a long time, I had a scarcity mindset with money. I felt like I never had enough money, so spending any unnecessary money on myself felt wasteful, even if it was on something I loved. But then I learned something that was a game changer: value spending. Value spending means spending money on the things that you prioritize the most and letting go of the rest. Because not all spending is bad, but unconscious, mindless spending is. If you don't give yourself permission to spend on things you enjoy, you end up splurging in other areas as kind of a reactive effect. You restrict yourself so much that you end up exploding in random ways. It's not really your fault, it's just human nature. But if you give yourself permission to spend in a few categories that you genuinely enjoy, you don't feel as restricted and you don't tend to impulse spend or splurge on random things that you regret later. Which brings me to my favorite topic in personal finance: choosing your value spending categories. Value spending categories are discretionary spending categories where you love spending your money. This could mean eating out, buying new clothes, travel, fresh daily coffee, taking CrossFit classes, or buying all of your fruits and vegetables at a farmer's market. Think about what you love spending your money on. Not just something that gives you a quick hit of dopamine, like buying something on Amazon, but something that gives you long-lasting pleasure. Narrow that list down to 3 to 5 items and spend on them. But there is a catch. You have to be willing to let go of everything else. My value spending categories are travel, eating out, and my houseplants. These are 3 things that bring me lots of inner joy and make me feel good in my life. But in order to have room in my budget to spend on those things, I need to let go of other things. I almost never buy new clothes. I always make my coffee at home. I have a cheap gym membership and I never use apps like Instacart or Uber Eats. So before making any big purchases, ask yourself, what value does this add to my life? Is this something that will give me long-term satisfaction? Let's go back to that $7,000 bed that I bought. $7,000 is a lot of money. I know it may seem ridiculous to spend that much, but I value good sleep. I wasn't sleeping well in my old bed, and it was affecting my mood, my work, my health, and even my marriage. Buying a bed that I use every single night has not only improved my sleep, but my whole quality of life. So I will never regret that purchase. To me, it was invaluable. There is no one pathway to spending with zero regret. That's why it's so important to pair a strong financial foundation and a strong financial mindset. When both of those things are in place, you can spend from a place of financial and emotional security. So whether it's a $7,000 bed, a dream vacation, or a new pot for the kitchen, if it fits your values and your budget, buy it. There is no shame in wanting nice things. You just need a system in place that supports the life that you want to live. If you liked this video, remember to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what is a purchase that you've made with zero regrets? Come back every Wednesday for new money videos. See you then.